Hello everyone, this is Song. I don't know if anyone is interested, but I'm gonna tell my 2020 story in this video. My wife and I met in Prague, Czech Republic, and began our cross-country relationship in 2017. She is Chinese but lived in Japan for almost 10 years. I was a freelancer and lived in China, so I traveled to Japan a lot. I was holding a multi-entry tourism visa which allowed me to enter Japan whenever I wanted, but only could stay up to 30 days for a single entry. This is the background of this story. At the end of 2019, we decided to get married during the New Year holiday and build our family in Japan. Getting married in China means to meet all the relatives of both families. My wife is originally from Shanxi province and my hometown is in Anhui province. The distance between the two places is around 1500 kilometers. We had to have the engagement dinner in her hometown and the wedding in my hometown. My wife only had 15-day holiday, so our schedule was freaking busy. When I'm too tired, I don't fall asleep easily. I remember at one of the nights, on 28th or 29th, I was laying in bed, checking news on my cell phone before going to sleep. There was a special news that a new coronavirus was found at a seafood market in Wuhan, and several people were infected. As the Chinese, when we hear there's a new virus, would respond like this: no big deal, can't be worse than SARS. SARS was the scariest virus that happened in the Chinese history before COVID-19. The whistleblower, Dr. Li Wenliang, on December 30th, he spread the information that a new SARS was diagnosed in their hospital. New SARS was way scarier than new coronavirus to Chinese people, and that caused public panic. Dr. Li was then summoned and admonished by Wuhan police, as you all know. Back then, we all believed that nothing worse than SARS could happen. On January 5th, we had the engagement dinner in Shanxi, and on January 7th, we had the wedding in Anhui. We were too busy to get the marriage certificate, and on January 14th, I traveled with my wife to Japan. When we were entering Japan, there was clear information that a new coronavirus has been identified in Wuhan, China. If you are from Wuhan and have a fever, please report. I was really surprised to see that because the virus was not clear to the public back then. Later, the worldwide media criticized the Chinese government covered the virus since the beginning. Well, if Japan already noticed it in early January, other countries should have known it too. On January 23rd, we read the news that Wuhan and other Hubei cities went into lockdown. It was the moment that all of us realized this was worse than SARS. I had to leave Japan on February 12th. From January 23rd to February 12th, like everyone else in the world, I learned how shocking and terrible the situation was in China. I went back to China on February 12th anyway, and I shot a video of that journey. If you are interested, you can take a look. When I arrived home, I was required to self-quarantine at home for 14 days. Before my quarantine was over, I got the surprising but exciting news that my wife was pregnant. So I had to fly to Japan as soon as my quarantine was over. On March 4th, I arrived in Japan. On March 6th, Japan announced they would close the border starting on March 9th, which meant that if I were to leave Japan, I wouldn't be able to return. Without the marriage certificate, I wasn't eligible to change my status from short-term stay to long-term stay. My wife and I are both Chinese citizens, but we weren't eligible to get the marriage certificate from the Chinese embassy due to some bureaucratic regulation. We were eligible to get the marriage certificate at the Japanese government if the Chinese embassy could issue me a certified document. In order to get that certified document, due to another bureaucratic regulation, I had to be physically in China to get one more certified document, which was impossible at that circumstance. Again, if I were to leave Japan, I wouldn't be able to return. Long story short, I managed to get that document without going back to China. It took us 6 months to get everything done just because the Chinese embassy was busy. The Chinese government and their authorities are only good at yes or no situations, like lockdown Wuhan, lockdown Hubei, No people out, no people in. They are really good at that. But when dealing with individual situations, they often give us pain in the ass. They are able to control COVID-19, but are not able to issue us a marriage certificate, or at least waived one document at the given context. On September 24th, my wife and I got the marriage certificate from the Japanese government. With the marriage certificate, I finally changed my status to long-term stay, which would allow me to stay in Japan for as long as I wanted. Our baby was born 2 weeks later. She's now 2 months old. This is how we survived our 2020. Thanks for watching. How was your 2020? How did you survive it? Share a sentence or two in the comments. See ya. またね